Well, thank you for the very warm, loving, heartfelt reception. It's a big thing for me to be here. I've been driving for like days. And, well, you know, I'm still looking for the tourist attractions and all of that. But I expect, I guess I'll see them as I make my way back to Washington, D.C. tonight. We have arranged for the opportunity to show the film American Blackout to you, and I know that not nearly enough people have seen the film. This is like a case study in election theft. And we know that in 2000 and again in 2004, the presidential elections were stolen. There is no legitimacy residing at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And why the Democratic Party cannot find the word impeachment among their talking points, I don't know why. In addition to election theft, we have the kind of corruption in our faces that we have not seen at least in 2 generations. And they are bold in what they do. So we know that there's a lot that's on the agenda, but I really want you to see this film because it exposes everything. And for those people, there are a few people who are uninformed. And they believe that it was Nader who changed the outcome of the election in 2000 because of Florida. This film exposes that it wasn't Nader. It was the machinations of the Republican Party and the refusal of the Democrats to stand by their most loyal voters and supporters. So after the film, I'll be available for questions. Questions, but no answers. Thank you. Y'all make me real get emotional, you know. Well, there's the lesser told story of 2000, 2004, the things that happened with me in, 2002 and again in 2006. And, you know, we just need people to understand what happened. And we've got 2008 coming along, and we've got to make sure they don't do these same things again. And the other thing is that it's a shame that candidates who understand the vulnerabilities of these electronic voting machines have to spend precious campaign dollars instead of spending that money for the grassroots effort of knocking on doors and making sure people turn out to vote, that we have to spend the money inside the precincts making sure that the vote is actually tabulated, let alone counted at the end of the night. So there's so many vulnerabilities that have been now institutionalized in our so-called democracy, which, you know, many of us have always known that we didn't have very much of. But now more people are aware that the vote is a very sacred, precious thing, and it's been manipulated on the black community since we ever arrived here. Oh, yes. And now that seepage has spread to the American community at large. The film discloses all of the work that was done by Green Party national people and Green Party Ohio in Ohio, and it's the only reason we know about what happened in Ohio. So all of so David Cobb and Leslie Bonnet, all of the Ohio people, stand up so I can know who you are. Stand up, Ohio. Yes, yes, yes. That's right. Thank you, thank you. Because that was a true act of patriotism. Okay, so now I can answer a couple of questions. Yes, ma'am.
Amy, you want to come to the mic?
Oh, yeah, we need, oh. Okay, then, yeah, everyone who has a question should come to the microphone and we'll alternate.
I applaud your courage over many, many years. I noticed in the film that AIPAC and the Israel lobby was not mentioned there was one reference, neocon, which is maybe a hint towards that. I know you've been very courageous in standing up for pointing out the injustices in Palestine. I want you to know that our party has been on record for divestment and boycott from Israel, because that is a very unjust system that our government is funding, and I want to know, are you planning to be part of the movement that has to vow independence from AIPAC and the Israel lobby and the Zionists, including the ones that are in the left, claiming to be in the left?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question. And on the DVD, there is a section that is entitled The AIPAC Factor. It's in the other, I think, other scenes on that part of the DVD. And honestly, I heard it put yesterday. We were doing an interview, and the gentleman put it in a very special way, and this is what I will say. That yes, the Republicans crossed over. In Georgia, we have the open primary system, and so therefore Republicans can show up on election day and they can vote in the Democratic primary. However, they also did so knowing that there would be absolutely no assistance to me coming from the Democratic Party, and that there would be millions of dollars flowing into my opponent's campaign coffers, and that's what happened, and that was the AIPAC factor. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for coming to our meeting. I'm sure you expected this question, and I know you're fond of straight questions, so let me just ask it up front. We've seen a whole litany of abuses and atrocities here, predominantly on the part of the Republican Party, but we all know in this room that none of them could have happened without the complicity of the Democratic Party. My question to you is, do you still consider yourself to be a Democrat?
Well, that's a very good question. There was a time when I said, I'm a Democrat, I'm a proud Democrat. That was back in 1995. And I was fighting to keep the old 11th district in Georgia. Where'd the gentleman go? And the district that I represented that originally sent me to Washington was dismantled by the courts. That was in 1996, but it was Democrats who voted to dismantle the district. And in the Georgia legislature, and you know, they were the ones that did everything and never wanted to draw the district in the first place. The relationship between me and the Democratic Party has basically been kind of non-existent anyway. I've just been a Democrat because that was sort of, you know, in Georgia, that's kind of what you did, and you were black. Except that my father was an independent and ran on the ballot as an independent for Congress when the 5th Congressional District was first created. So then my progression went from Democrat to independent thinking Democrat. And then on March 17th, which happened to be my birthday, of this year, I protested at the Pentagon, and I declared my independence from the crimes that are being committed in the Iraq War in the name of the American taxpayer, but also I declared my independence from those people who allowed it to happen, and that's Democrats as well as Republicans. Now, that's informal. That's informal. And so then there has to be a formal process. And that's what we'll talk about in the future.
Cynthia,
I must tell you, we are addicted to people telling the truth.
That's right. That's right.
so Cynthia, it's good to have you at another Green Party meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. California was first. Thank you for inviting me.
Definitely. And thinking ahead to the future, I know there's a lot of people here who would like to see you run.
Yes. 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 Yes.
And there's a lot of people and there's a lot of people who would like to see you run as a Green.
Yes.
But for somebody who has a body of work that you have had, and somebody who is a risk taker, like you have shown you to have been, for somebody like you to run as a Green, what does a party like the Green Party have to do to make it self-viable, for you to run with it, to make it safe for you to take that sort of risk if you were to think about going ahead and doing such a thing?
That's an excellent question. Because it's true that there are some real infrastructure issues. And the first thing I think that needs to be said is that this is not like an exercise just, you know, to see my name in the newspaper, because I get a lot of that already. But this would be an exercise to get the 5%. That's the only reason you do this. You have a very clear goal. And then you have to strategize in order to get there. And so that means that the Green Party, I don't know that the Green Party has, well, maybe that national 5% goal, maybe it takes time to kind of grow that. And so now you've got the infrastructure on the local level, which needs to be developed more, and that there needs to be this symbiosis between the local level and the national, and the infrastructure, I mean, a candidate needs, like, for example, media consultants, political consultants. You know, you need certain things, and you can't expect that the Democratic infrastructure is going to gravitate over here, so you got to grow these things. There's some very real things that, in terms of infrastructure, that the Green Party needs to have. And I know, in addition to everything else that you already have talked about that you need, I mean, you know, one of the other things is security and a legal team. Because I can tell you that the work of getting the 5% is not going to be as difficult as one thinks. And that means then that a threat to the entrenched power brokers exists. I think they know that. And that's why they're doing certain things right now. Candidacies, floating of names, and doing all kinds of things that are happening right now. The disgust of the American people with what they see before them, all they need is a blueprint and a roadmap too. Why not have the Green Party provide the blueprint and the roadmap? So those are the kinds of things, and California is, I mean, you know, California is like the mother lode of where this thing is going to take place. Probably, I haven't looked at the numbers, but probably you can darn near get close to 5% right there. If you manage your resources properly and target. So that's a conversation that a group of the Green Party leadership really need to have with probably the candidates, so that all of the expectations can be listed out and then met.
Thank you for your frankness.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm Asa Gordon, chair of the D.C. State of the Green Electoral College Task Force.
All right.
I just want to advise you, if you're going to become a candidate for the Green presidency, you need to acquaint yourself and be knowledgeable of the Green's position of democratizing the Electoral College. And this party has been very supportive in the abolitionist spirit of supporting real reform of the democracy process. I'll give you a flyer with the website is www.electors.us.
Okay.
You link to me, and I'll link to you.
Okay. Okay.
Now,
That's right.
now I want you to know. I want to also suggest that you had some clips there from C-SPAN, I think it was, on the Ohio hearings. At those hearings, I was present. Mm-hmm. I made a suggestion to Conyers how they could have won the election without a recount in Ohio. Mm-hmm. Conyers responded to me, "This is the most amazing proposition that has ever been made, and if true, would change the voting process in the United States of America." Mm-hmm. And we eagerly embrace your suggestion. So eagerly, the Black Caucus never got back to me.
Okay.
Now, that procedure, which the Green Party has endorsed and supports, was to try to get those states that has no, in your state, our state of Georgia. By the way, I'm from Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, okay.
So, welcome
Yeah.
home, girl. Georgia is a state, you know, that grants its awards as presidential electors on a winner-take-all basis.
Yeah.
You may not be familiar with the fact that in Georgia's state law, there's no statute that specifies that. Mm-hmm. They just do it on tradition.
Okay.
So you may start thinking about joining the Green Party and then challenging those states which perform this in violation of the second section of the 14th Amendment. And I don't want you to respond to that right now, but I would like you to respond to, I would like you to respond to, okay, would like you to respond to.
I need a sign, I think.
Yeah, I need,
There's 7 people in line.
okay, can I complete it?
Just complete.
Okay, all right. I announced there that I had filed a suit in 2000 that was highlighted over all the suits that was filed by the NAACP and ACL in that room. They never got back to me with the curiosity is why it was highlighted in the Congressional Research Service over all the suits that were filed. Can you tell me why you think that is?
I'm not familiar with your lawsuit, so I can't speak to why Congressional Research Service would have highlighted it.
Gender stain.
Obviously, if it was included in Congressional Research Service in a report that they did, then they are to serve the needs of Congress. I can't speak to that. Yes, sir.
I'm Ron Kinham from Iowa, a.k.a. Liberis Fidelis. We have the same problems that you had in your state in different ways. And,
I'm sorry. Start over again.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm Ron Kinham from Iowa, a.k.a. Liberis Fidelis. And I'm from the state of Iowa, which has had the same problems you have had in controlling the public's functions. Not as bad as in Nevada and in Missouri, but still up there close to it. And my question is, since the information is we have about 80 to 85% of our Congress in both houses as elected attorneys who know the law, how hard would it be to turn the focus on those attorneys for having been complicit conspirators in this whole overthrowing system against our public, and ask them why, as attorneys, they just sat there and did not do anything to protect and to defend our laws?
Oh, I'm supposed to work the mic a little bit more? Oh, like this? Is that better? Oh, okay. Let me see. they may just happen to be attorneys, but they're politicians first.
But they're still charged with enforcing the law as attorneys, are they not? Because they are elected. They're not normal attorneys.
But as elected officials, they're charged with changing the law or writing the law as well. And
Well, how about enforcing the law, though?
I don't, I mean, you know, I think that the voters have the power within their means to change those representatives who do not represent them. But it seems that many voters are satisfied to vote for a representative and not have representation.
Can I have for you my card, and then I
Sure.
hope you agree with what I say.
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Oh, hi, Cynthia. My name is Cece Wheeler. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Allegheny County delegate.
Yes.
And also on immigrants' rights in my area. Pittsburgh only has like about 2 to 3% population of immigrants, and from that number, very small percentage are undocumented. Well, as you know, immigrants, documented and undocumented, are inhumanly persecuted, and they are also, as you know, the attacks have divided our communities and have made a terrible state of uncertainty and fear in our communities. So if you run as a president and knowing what the two-headed monster have created in all our country, what would you, or how would you act to fix this problem of immigration? What hopes do you have for the 12 million people, which probably are much less now because they are deported on a daily basis and sent to centers and jail along with children and family? What is your stand in this terrible situation?
Yes, I agree with you. It's a terrible situation. I chose to go to Los Angeles to participate in the May Day rally there because, one, I wanted to make a very strong black-brown unity statement, because we also know that there are efforts to divide, and we can't accept that. Also, I think on immigration problem, if it's a problem, it's something that has been created by our own policies, and so we need to reverse those policies. For example, you know, why not have an international labor policy that we all believe in, adhere to, and enforce? Why not have an international economic policy that lifts up people, respects human rights, respects the work of dignity that we adhere to and enforce? And why not have a policy, a military policy, that exports, instead of exporting our, you know, weapons of destruction, we could export our means of construction and help other countries. So immigration is not just an issue alone. Immigration is probably the embodiment of many different issues that have all come together now, and some people have decided to make it a crisis. Well, it's probably a crisis because there's an election coming up. You can divide people. It's the politics of ethnicity and racialism, and you know, perhaps the Republican, and corporatism, I can't leave that out. And the Republicans are really good at that. Oh, thank you.
Yes, I'm Titus North from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And first of all, I'd like to thank you for having given me a voice in the Congress for 12 years.
Thank you.
And for having spoken out for truth and democracy. I'd like you to speak briefly to the punishment that the United States and other countries have levied on the people of Palestine for having exercised democracy, yet not voted in the way that they were intended to.
Yeah, you know, it's a problem with our government, and that's not just the Bush administration. That's a problem with the United States government that has intervened in the affairs of other countries for as long as, I guess probably since the Monroe Doctrine. With specific respect to the respect for elections, if they don't respect our own elections, then you know they're not going to respect the elections of any other political entity. If they won't give the Hurricane Katrina survivors a right of return, you know they're not going to give or even negotiate to provide a right of return for the Palestinians. So I think we can gauge the international political position by the position that exists right here in the United States with respect to our domestic policy. It's all wrong, including, I'll get in trouble again, but including this recent vote in the House of Representatives for the, I think it's 411 to 2 on Iran. And every member of the Congressional Black Caucus who voted yes. So there's yet another pretext for a war, expanding this war against Iran.
Let's get in trouble together.
So, you know, I think we've got to move beyond giving people a pass just because they're black. That's why I always say Colin Powell, Condoleezza Rice. I mean, you know, we presume that there's a conscience somewhere in the Congress. But if the conscience of the Congress loses its conscience, then we really are in bad shape. And that's where we are just about. And that goes back to the question about AIPAC. And so we really have to have ownership. And we can have ownership, I believe, because the power of the people, as has been demonstrated in Brazil and Venezuela and, of course, Cuba, and Argentina and Chile and, I mean, you know, Haiti. The power of the people is quite immense. We just have to flex our muscles. Yes.
Hi. I just wanted to say, Cynthia McKinney, you're already my hero, and this is all about picking. I mean, some of this is about who's going to be the Green presidential candidate, but you're my leader and my hero anyway.
Thank you.
And if you turn to Green, I think that myself and a lot of people would just be so excited. We would fly through the sky for you. I just wanted to say, as Greens, we always teach and share and doctrinaire just a little bit. And so you had said that you wanted to talk with our leadership about planning things and everything. And one of our principles is grassroots democracy. Mm-hmm. And please don't go through the leadership. Come talk to us. Send out feelers, accept emails, go back and forth, because they don't even, you know, the Green Party is about we're all the leadership, so this is a little different style than you've dealt with, and we all want to help you, and we all want to jump to the top of the parade with you and pick up in the back sometime.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. And I do want to add that there's so much work, you know, when you start thinking about 50 states and having a presence everywhere and doing what it takes, there's so much work that needs to be done that you're absolutely right. It has to be driven by the people who are there on the ground. It really does. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Martina Robinson of Massachusetts, and I am the new appointed co-chair of the Green Party Black Caucus.
Oh, fantastic. Congratulations.
And I wanted to say, well, I have two things. The first of which is a motion that we close the stack at the number of people who are currently on it. And so if you want to get in line, just get in line now. So that we won't be here all night.
Yes, I agree with you. So I think yes. Okay.
And my second question is, I also have been disenfranchised as a voter, as a person with a disability. I went to the voting booth the first time I moved to my new town, and the man asked me if I could read. To my face, asked me if I could read. What are you going to do? Especially because Justice Scalia, who is, as we all know, a horrible human being, said that disabled people have no right to vote. We have no guarantee of the right to vote.
I'm not familiar with exactly where if Scalia said that or if he wrote that.
No, he said it on C-SPAN.
Well, then
he said it on C-SPAN in 2002.
And the Supreme Court decisions have reflected that too, haven't they?
Yes.
Even to the dismantling of the Voting Rights Act. So, I mean, I think then it's incumbent upon us to show that he and people who think like that are wrong. And that's the only way you do that is by increasing our participation numbers. Yes, sir.
Hey, how you doing? Bruce, and I was involved in the elections in the 2000 in Palm Beach County, Florida.
Oh.
And so I saw the pain and the tears of my brothers and sisters as the Chads were counted. I was in the election room counting Chads, and I was very scared because I noticed that they had Republicans and Democrats in separate areas, and the Republicans, everybody had to put their driver's license up as they entered the room. And the Republicans had all Texas driver's licenses, and the Democrats had all Palm Beach County driver's license. And these Republicans were very large. Well, we all know that both parties play a lot of tricks and everything, but it brings to me the fear that our democracy is really missing. And just recently I read about Indiana, the state of Indiana Election Commission was calling to a special meeting of the people who sold the voting machines. And in Indiana, on local levels, there were some people who were a small party that only got normally 10% of the vote, was now getting 90% of the vote, and majority parties were getting 10% of the vote. Things were flipped over, and they were calling the guys who sold the election machines to 5 states to count. And they said local counties get to fix those machines, the programming, to count those, but the national elections is all controlled by the machine guys themselves, by the company themselves. Well, the company was run by Republicans, so I was very nervous about that. I know we need clean machines, and I hope that in your campaign you make sure we have clean machines and we vote green.
Okay. I think the cleanest machine possible is the human hand on a paper ballot.
I just want to remind you, if you have a lot of comments, let's keep them to questions because we're running late on time. I know it's very exciting, okay? Thanks.
Hello.
Hello again.
SKCM Curry,
yes.
Vice Presidential Candidate for the 08 Green Ticket.
All right.
You missed my little spiel. But just want to welcome you and thank you, and we missed you yesterday. I'm on my way back to California, so see you all around my campaign trail. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Yes, sir.
Hey, my name is John Olson. I'm from the state of Maine, and I do have a question.
Yes.
We have a big green banner that says impeachment, not appeasement.
Yes.
Principally directed to the Democrats. What I would like to ask is, how will you help us, whether you become a candidate or not, but starting today onward, how will you help us secure impeachment, not appeasement, not only for Bush and Cheney, but for all of those people in Congress who have failed to do their duty?
Yeah, in fact, the former mayor of Salt Lake City said that Nancy Pelosi ought to be impeached too because she refuses to put impeachment on the table. If you have a specific idea, just get in touch with me through my email address. Many of you who are in this room are already on my email list anyway. You communicate with me all the time anyway.
So I'm assuming that from today on you will help us directly with this effort.
Well, I think I already helped because I think I have the best impeachment bill that was filed. since Henry Gonzalez filed his impeachment bill. Yes. Yes.
This is Michael Rubin from Oakland, California. I was one of your drivers last.
I know. Thank you very much.
As I recall. My question is, I want to hear what your evaluation of the current Democratic-controlled Congress is. How do you view their overall performance since the Democrats regained control of the Congress?
I guess you could call it bait and switch, because the American voters voted for one thing and they got something else. And so now the question is, will we accept that? We've accepted too much already, in my opinion, and so it's time to ratchet up that a little bit more, and I look forward to joining with folks who are ready to ratchet it up a little bit more. Let's shake it up. Yes.
I'm Ray Toby. I work on campaigns like Matt Gonzalez in San Francisco and Ross Markarimi and Amy Allison. I've spent my time doing that, trying to figure out the mechanics of running a winning campaign. I'm working on things like voter database analysis software and targeting, prioritizing. I'm wondering if you can help us learn those skills, or if you can point us towards teachers so that we can grow those skills that I agree with you that we need.
Yeah, we need to talk. So you should either, if you have a card, give me your card, or just shoot me an email, hq2600@gmail. My box is not full.
I'll wait for you.
Okay.
Hi, Ann Wilcox from D.C. I just wondered if you're committed to continuing to work on the issues of voter reform and electoral reform that were raised in the film, and do you think there's any stomach in Congress for continued reforms, such as requiring that secretaries of state, not be the final arbiter of vote counting, and those sorts of reforms that need to be made?
I think the members of Congress are just happy with the way things are right now. I mean, we can even see that with the progression of the Hope bill. So, yeah, I think we need a slate of fresh faces to run and win at all levels. And, then you're really talking about some change, because if you're talking about going to those people and asking them to make the system more open so you can have a chance to run against them, no, that's not going to work like that.
Hi, my name is Greg Garrett. I'm one of the co-chairs of the Green Party Presidential Campaign Support Committee.
So you've been sending me emails.
Yes.
Oh,
and,
okay.
We have some people who, while you mull it over, might be able to give you some useful information about the nature of our structure. Would you be willing to set up a meeting with me for some time down the road soon?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you like my card?
Okay. I got your email in my box. Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Great.
And hope to talk with you soon.
Yeah, okay, great. Yes, sir.
We're gender stacking.
Yes,
so.
that's right. Yeah. I like chivalry.
I'm all yours.
Just two questions.
Yes.
If not us, who? If not now, when?
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That could be posed on so many levels, but the answer is still the same.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to answer that.
Oh.
Okay.
It is us, and the time is now.
Okay, great. Okay, well, being from Ohio, I'm currently represented by your friend Stephanie Tubbs-Jones, and I used to have the honor of being represented by Dennis Kucinich. So I'm sure you know that there are some very progressive members of Congress, Conyers, Maxine Waters, and those. I'm wondering if you have any sense of what some of those more progressive Democrats who are still within the Democratic Party, how would they react to, just for example, a McKinney-Nader ticket in 2008?
Well, I haven't exactly, sort of talked it over with them. But I can tell you that that would have the potential of shaking up a whole lot. A lot. I won't get into any more trouble, but I have a lot of ideas about the current Democratic field. And, you know, as you've seen in American Blackout, that these elections really turn on the black vote. Either you suppress the black vote or you pump it up and turn it out, but then make sure that you don't give them anything after you win. So I guess that's what you suppress and manipulate. And that part of the calculus has got to change. It's absolutely got to change. And you can't have, just for just 1 minute, the kind of statistics on life in Black America and think that things are right with the state of the Democratic Party and black people. For example, infant mortality, the racial disparity is growing. The racial disparity for family income and wealth is growing. It will take 1,669 years to close the racial disparity between black home ownership and white home ownership. That's united for a fair economy. The state of the black economy is only 56% that of the rest of white America. That's according to the National Urban League. Harvard University and the Kaiser Family Foundation have done studies on white attitudes. White America thinks that black America is doing just fine. So if you don't know and you're not going to get it from CNN, then you're not going to suspect that there's a problem that needs to be fixed. But the situation in black America is desperate. And the political equation has not addressed the real quality of life issues for black America. And so that's why the vote has to be suppressed or manipulated, but the calculus has to remain the same. That's where you guys come in. Change the calculus because your platform, your ideals address those very statistics, those quality of life issues. But who knows it in black America? Who knows it? So we have a lot of work to do just to even get the message out. First of all, you got to inform people of what their status in life really is. Because if you're so busy looking at, you know, I like these shows that are on television too, you know. They're all comedies. And you get people laughing at themselves instead of really knowing what their conditions are. We have a lot of work to do. So the if not us, who, and if not now, when question, I mean, you know, it really has some very serious implications. It is not acceptable for us to have business as usual anymore. And the last thing on this I will say is that Dr. David Satcher recently finished a report that announced to us that 83,000 black people died in this country for no other reason than that they are black. That's from David Satcher. So we cannot accept this. What did the Kerner Commission say? We've got two Americas, one black and one white. Add Latinos now. It's unacceptable. And anyway, I know you guys are already the choir. We just got to put me in the choir books. Give me the sheet of music so I can sing the song too. Thank you.
Is the video for sale? Is that video for sale?
Yes, we have some.